On the morning of this Friday, Uruguayan midfielder Federico Valverde made impactful statements following Real Madrid's 3-0 defeat to Arsenal in the first leg of the UEFA Champions League quarter-finals. As one of the key figures in the Merengues squad and a pillar of the team, Valverde did not hesitate to acknowledge the team's performance below expectations, reflecting the dissatisfaction that permeates the club at this critical moment of the season. "We are aware that we had a bad week. The game against Arsenal was no exception to that," Valverde stated in a press conference that attracted the attention of fans and journalists alike. The player, who has distinguished himself not only for his skills on the field but also for his maturity and leadership, emphasized the importance of keeping their heads up and maintaining confidence, both individually and collectively. "I believe and know that we can turn the score around. With the support of our fans and the strength of a united group, we can overcome this situation," he added, conveying a message of hope amid adversity. Valverde, who has faced challenges throughout his career, highlighted the importance of learning from mistakes and strengthening oneself from difficulties. "Every match is an opportunity to grow and evolve. We know that Real Madrid has a rich history of comebacks, and despite the setback, we are determined to fight until the end," he said, appearing optimistic about the possibility of a turnaround in the second leg. Additionally, the midfielder stressed the need for unity between players and fans. "Our supporters are our strength. We need to feel their warmth, especially in moments like this. They are a fundamental part of our success, and we want to repay that trust with a performance worthy of our badge," Valverde concluded, reinforcing his commitment to the team and the fans, and making it clear that Real Madrid still has much to fight for this season. Valverde's words resonate with the reality that Real Madrid is currently facing. Although the club is competing for 3 titles at this crucial stage of the season, the inconsistency in results has been a constant source of concern for both fans and the coaching staff. In recent matches, the team has alternated between victories and defeats, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty that worries not only the supporters but also the board, which is closely monitoring the team's performance. The defensive sector, in particular, has come under severe criticism, as the team has conceded goals in the last 9 matches, highlighting weaknesses that need to be swiftly addressed to maintain their title aspirations. The defeat to Arsenal was not just a setback in terms of points, but also a wake-up call regarding the tactical and concentration flaws that have plagued the team throughout the season. The squad, filled with stars and undeniable talents, seems to have lost its way in some key situations, letting slip opportunities that could have changed the course of their matches. Crucial moments have turned into frustrations, and the lack of effectiveness in finishing has proven to be one of the major obstacles to overcome. Defensive fragility has been a constant concern, and the lack of communication between the defenders and the goalkeeper has become a critical factor, contributing to individual errors turning into goals for opponents. The disorganization in the defensive line has been a recurring theme in post-match analyses, with experts pointing out that the team lacks a more cohesive system and a stricter tactical approach. Players who were once considered secure now seem uncertain in their decisions, which is reflected in a series of mistakes that have cost the club precious points. Moreover, the pressure on the squad is palpable, and the pressure from the Madrid environment does not facilitate recovery. Experienced players like Valverde are crucial for restoring confidence and stability within the group. The ability to bounce back after a setback is a trait that has been tested, and the team's response to adversity will be vital not only for their continuity in the Champions League but also for the fight for the national championship and the Copa del Rey. The fans, who always expect a lot from Real Madrid, are eagerly awaiting a strong response and a return to victories that will restore confidence to the team and joy to their loyal supporters. The next challenge for Real Madrid will be this Sunday, 13, when the team visits Alaves for the Spanish Championship. With 30 rounds already played, the Merengues occupy second place in the table, 4 points behind eternal rivals Barcelona, who have proven to be a formidable opponent this season. The expectation is that the team can recover and deliver a solid performance, especially in such an important confrontation for the title race. This match is not just another game in the long season, but a crucial opportunity for Real Madrid to reaffirm its position among the best teams in the league. A good result could be the necessary boost to restore the group's confidence and morale, which has been facing increasing pressure from fans and the media. The supporters, who have always played a vital role in supporting the team, expect a strong response following the recent defeat, and the hope is that the players will enter the field motivated and determined to turn the situation around. Furthermore, the importance of this confrontation goes beyond the table. A victory over Alaves could help solidify the unity of the squad, demonstrating that despite the difficulties, the team is still capable of standing firm in the title fight. The players know that each match now is a battle, and the pressure to achieve positive results only increases as the season progresses. The coach, in turn, will have the task of finding the best formation and strategy to face Alaves, seeking to correct the flaws that were evident in previous games. Alaves, for its part, should not be underestimated. The team is also fighting for its goals in the table and will certainly enter the field ready to complicate Real Madrid's life. Therefore, the mental and technical preparation of the Merengues will be fundamental. A victory would not only aid in the title race but also serve as a clear sign that Real Madrid is ready to face the challenges ahead, proving that it is a true contender for the La Liga title. The game promises to be exciting and pivotal for the club's future this season. Beyond the tactical and physical issues, the psychological aspect will be crucial for the team's recovery. Valverde highlighted the need for resilience and focus, reminding that the support from the fans can make a difference in times of adversity. We know that our supporters are always by our side, and that gives us strength. We have to make that trust count, he concluded. Intensive training during the week should include a review of defensive weaknesses, as well as strengthening the synergy among the players. Coach Carlo Ancelotti, known for his experience and wisdom, will have the task of adjusting the strategy, seeking not only a more solid formation but also a winning mentality. The ability to unite and react after a defeat will be tested in the coming weeks, and all eyes will be on how this team, led by players like Valverde, responds to adversity. In a scenario where Real Madrid still dreams of conquering the Champions League and the Spanish Championship, it is crucial for the squad to remain focused and determined. Victories on the field are not just a matter of skill but also of mentality and unity. The support from the fans will be vital in creating a positive atmosphere in the stadium, and Valverde seems to be a voice of leadership that can inspire his teammates to rise again. With a tight schedule ahead and crucial challenges in all competitions, Real Madrid urgently needs to find its way back. The next match against Alaves will be a test not only of the team's technical skills but also of its mental strength and ability to recover from a painful defeat. The club's history is filled with exciting twists and turns, and the desire to win another title can serve as fuel to motivate the players to give their best in every match. The future of Real Madrid this season is still open, and each game will be a new opportunity to show that the team can overcome adversities and shine once again.
All right, Dougie and Pete are back. Dougie, what a night for Arsenal. I mean, I mentioned before to Chris Boyd, even the most ardent of Arsenal fans, I'm not sure how many of them would have envisaged 3-0 at home to Real Madrid to take into a quarter-final second leg. But in terms of, their progress in domestic competition, we've seen them build up those finishes, 8th, 5th, 2nd in the Premier League. But this was a bolt out of the blue in the Champions League. We were saying before, we couldn't really remember the last time that Arsenal produced this kind of performance against such a big team in Europe. Where do you think last night's performance result ranks in that sense?
I think it's the best in my lifetime. I think by distance, to be honest. And, no disrespect to the Intercity Fairs Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup that they've won in the past, but Arsenal's European history isn't particularly glamorous for a club of their stature. And they've got past this stage most recently in 2009, before losing to Man United. Obviously they need to secure their spot in the semi-finals and potentially even go on to a final and see where it leads. But in terms of a one-off result, given the context of Real Madrid having won 6 of the last 11 Champions League, given the fact they were playing against Rodrigo, Bellingham, Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe, given the fact they were going into it without Gabriel, probably their best, as Declan Rice said, best player this season, without a recognised centre forward, with Calafiori and Ben White coming back from injury, with Saka only just back from injury, to absolutely obliterate Real Madrid 3-0 with 2 efforts cleared off the line from Alaba and Bellingham, I thought was one of the most impressive performances I can remember in recent memory from an English side in the Champions League.
And maybe, it was always just meant to be. You were going to get not just an unlikely goal scorer, but the way in which Declan Rice scored those goals with those clutch hits for those free kicks. I mean, Pete, astonishing and so unlikely given this isn't really what he does.
No, I mean, who knew he had this in his locker? Absolutely incredible.
Well, he did, but no one else. Yeah.
Good job he backed himself, didn't it? Because he did say about that first free kick, he lined it up and he was going to knock the ball into the box, but he saw the way the wall was set up and where Courtois was, and he said to Bukayo Saka, who was with him, I think I can do this. And Saka just said, go for it, and he did. And well,
so the free kick coach as well. You see him on the sideline, just hit it.
As well. Right. Yeah. But we can look at Rice's stats here. And in 339 games as a senior professional, well, he'd taken 9 free kicks in the Premier League, of course, never scored one. And he scores 2 last night. It's absolutely incredible. I'm sure Real Madrid weren't planning for that when they were doing their game plans and their dossiers on Arsenal. But yeah, Declan Rice, he's an esteemed company now as well, isn't he? Because 2 free kick goals in the same Champions League game. Only Neymar has done that. Hakim Ziyech has done that against Man United. Cristiano Ronaldo has done that. And the great Rivaldo has done that before.
Yeah, it's interesting to put some context around this because, to be brutally honest, in terms of the context of these games, none of them are knockout stage games.
Yeah.
Yes, that was against Manchester United, but admittedly, I think one of these was against FC Zurich, or this one here was a group stage game for Barcelona against AC Milan. So the context of these free kicks is crucial, isn't it?
Well, because as Dougie says, before that goal went in, that first goal went in, Real Madrid had chances. Mbappe had twice gone through, and once missed the target, once shot straight at David Raya. This completely changed the momentum of the game, that first goal. And, of course, a few minutes later, he's got the confidence to stick it in the top corner for another one. And then after that, Mourinho adds the third. And suddenly, Arsenal are out of sight going into the second leg at the Bernabeu, which is just beyond dreams of what the Arsenal supporters might have had.
It still doesn't answer the question, though, guys. What is Declan Rice's best position? What number is he on the pitch? Because, we've seen him play at centre-back before, like a 4, maybe a 6 as the holding midfielder, maybe an 8, pushing forward a box-to-box midfielder. But last night, Dougie, presumably this really showcases his ability to score crucial goals.
Yeah, absolutely vital. I think the fact is that he's world-class in 2 positions, as a holding midfielder and as a number 8. But I think, given the fact that Arsenal have been strongly linked with Zubamendi in the last few months as well, maybe there is a suggestion that they see Rice as this long-term left-sided 8. And you can see why. If you look at his goal contributions per season in all competitions, this is since he joined Arsenal. Look at that explosion. 7 goals and 10 assists. It has to be noted that a lot of his early work at West Ham was as a centre-back. Now he's playing as this much more dynamic presence. I think the separation of Declan Rice compared to other 8s in his position is that range of movement. His passing's very good. The fact he can take set pieces, not just free kicks, but corners to such a high standard as well. He's very good in the air, of course. And I actually think the gap between him and the other players in his position are more separate as an 8 than a 6, if that makes sense. But what an amazing player to have in your books, and someone that can give so much confidence to Arsenal fans. And how often do you see a £100 million signing just think, yeah, he does, he's warranted it.
Yeah,
He's worked it out perfectly.
Arsenal fans say they got him half price. Last night's evidence.
It's funny because I just remember that day when we announced that news on Sky Sports News. You just go, oh my days, what a price tag. But, this is that absolutely checking out and then some. And talking about versatile players, Pete, we've had, Mikel Merino playing up front. Holding midfielder, by definition, essentially does play a little bit differently to that at times. He's scored some great goals, hasn't he, since moving into that position further forward.
And important goals as well. Obviously, stepping up with Havertz and Gabriel Jesus, unavailable to Arsenal at the moment. We can see since he scored those 2 goals on February the 15th against Leicester, when he was first time he'd ever been played as a forward in his career, Arteta just saw something in him, put him up top. And he scored 6 goals in those 10 games since then. Only Marco Asensio at Aston Villa and Bruno Fernandes at Man United have scored more among Premier League players in all competitions since then. So it's an incredible... I think it's great credit to him in the way that he's stepped up, and you hear Arteta talking about the way he's tried to learn the role as quickly as he can. He's asking lots of questions, he's studying it. How can I maximise my skills in that area of the pitch? But also credit to Lewis Skelly for that assist. 18 years old, playing against Real Madrid and Champions League knockout tie, picks out Merino and then a wonderful finish.
And what a boost that'll be for him, given the sort of up and down nature of his first, few months in the Premier League, with the sendings off, etc. For him to provide that assist and you say, what a fine finish it was, Mikel Merino going away from goal and snapping it back in. But also, we've got to talk a little bit about the return of Bukayo Saka, Dougie. I mean, it's a great story after 100 days out, returned as a sub, then comes on and starts this game. And really also, Mikel Arteta having to manage the energies of his squad and work out when to rest them, when to play them. So ultimately vindicated his decision to rest players against Everton.
Yeah, he came in for a little bit of criticism for that, didn't it? And I think that was mainly because Liverpool then lost to Fulham the following day, and maybe they see that as a missed opportunity to only pick up 1 point at Goodison Park. And Martinelli and Saka and Odegaard and Partey were left on the bench against Everton. They did introduce some of them for the second half as well. But so impressive to come back at this level from Bukayo Saka, as you say, after over 3 months out with an injury. Absolutely remarkable. David Alaba, he gave a torrid time to. He's half fit after an injury layoff as well. But it felt like the sort of occasion and performance from Saka that whoever was playing as left back there, whether it was Roberto Carlos or Maldini, he would have given them an absolutely torrid time. And also huge credit to Martinelli on the other side as well. Against Fede Valverde, one of the fittest, most dynamic players in world football, playing out of position as a right back. But Gabriel Martinelli's last few games as well, showing signs that he's getting back to those 22-23 levels as well.
Maybe just all coming together for Arsenal when it really matters in those forward positions. But for Real Madrid, I mean, two sides to every story, Pete. A real humbling, and it's such a rare occurrence for them in the Champions League. They've dominated this competition, as we know, for the last couple of decades.
Yeah, they just don't get beaten by this sort of scoreline in Champions League knockout games. And you could hear afterwards, Carlo Ancelotti very down in his press conference afterwards. Thought the first half was fairly even, but very disappointed with their second half performance. We can see here their biggest knockout defeats. Well, this has equalled it. So they lost 3-0 to Arsenal last night. And in the semi-final in 2013, they lost 4-1 to Borussia Dortmund.
Oh, yeah, that was the Klassiker final, wasn't it, at Wembley?
I did.
Yeah,
It went on to Bayern Munich, eventually
yeah.
beating Dortmund. This was Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, Dortmund, and used to say Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, aren't we? Dortmund side. Lewandowski, all 4 goals. Real Madrid did win the second leg 2-0, so maybe a warning sign there for Arsenal that they will strike back Real Madrid, but it's a long way back for them now.
Yeah, we mentioned this before. In the Champions League knockout stages, only 4 times have there been comebacks from 3-0 down. Barcelona have suffered 2 of them and enacted another of them. It's very, very rare, this. So Arsenal fans will be... Even the most nervous, I think, will be feeling OK about what happened last night. But Real Madrid, I mean, yes, we know, 15-time European champions, kings of the Champions League. I don't think we can really doubt that. I think what's the next nearest? Is it Milan
on
7?
yeah.
Right, OK, so, it's case in point. But they bring in Kylian Mbappe, and you think, right, well, they're going to get even stronger. Not necessarily been the case. How do you assess his impact?
I think he's had a solid first year. I think he had a slow start, but 33 goals in all competitions. That's pretty impressive. It's just 4 short of the record set in the 90s for a player in their debut season for Real Madrid. He's scored more goals than Ronaldo did in his debut season, although Ronaldo's debut season was blighted somewhat by injury as well. But as you say, this is their 11th defeat in all competitions this season. They only lost 2 in the entirety of last year as they did a League and Champions League double. Toni Kroos's departure in the summer feels absolutely massive, and they have had injury issues at the back as well. No Eder Militao, no Carvajal. Alaba's had injury issues. They've had to play Tchouaméni and Asensio as their centre-backs for much of this season. But the Champions League campaign just hasn't really been good enough. They've lost to Milan, they've lost to Lille, sides you'd expect them to beat. They've also lost to Liverpool, Atletico Madrid, they lost the second leg to. If it wasn't for Julian Alvarez's double hit on that penalty, they might have never even reached this stage as well. So it does feel like Ancelotti's time at Real Madrid, as amazing as it's been, will probably come to an end this summer. I feel like it's quite difficult to survive a season like this at Real Madrid.
Yeah, unless they do the grandest of remontadas. I put some extra R's in there.